Mail services. In this nugget, we're going to talk about electronic mail, which is the real reason we come into work every day, right? So we're going to go over how to set up email on your Linux machine so that you can read and write email using a remote mail server. And we'll also talk a little bit about setting up your local machine as a mail server. So let's get down to it. Well, let's just start by talking about some acronyms that are common for describing the electronic mail process, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Okay, so the first thing here is the MTA, or the Mail Transfer Agent. This is the piece of the mail system that's responsible for transferring the mail from one system to another. Okay, the common mail transfer agents that are out there are things like SendMail. Okay, this is probably the oldest and most common mail transfer agent out there. POP is another one. Okay, IMAP, maybe you've heard of that. Okay, all of these are mail transfer agents. We're going to talk quite a bit about SendMail and a little bit about POP in this nugget as to what their role is in the whole electronic mail process. Okay, then there's the Mail User Agent, or MUA. Okay, these are just mail clients. All right, these are just the programs that you use to compose and read email. All right. Now on Linux systems, in Red Hat Linux, the default mail client is called Evolution. Okay, this is a Symbian product, and we'll look at that particular client. The oldest and sort of most ubiquitous mail user agent is just the mail program. Okay, but this is a really primitive program, but it does some things really well. We'll look at it quickly and just show you some of the things that you can do with the mail program very, very easily. Okay, and which makes it worth knowing. There's other mail clients out there. There's Netscape Mail. There's Balsa, Pine, Elm, Mutt, and all sorts of mail clients are out there. These will be the three that we'll look at in this nugget, just because I think they're sort of the most common ones and sort of the most unique ones in some sense. Okay, and then there's the Mail Delivery Agent. Sometimes you'll see this referred to as the LDA, or the Local Delivery Agent. Okay, now I like this name better, Local Delivery Agent, because it gets across the point of what this part of the mail system is doing. This part of the mail system is not responsible for sending mail between systems. It's only responsible for moving it around sort of on the local system. Okay, so once the mail transfer agent receives some email, then the local delivery agent actually puts it in your mailbox. Okay, and the programs on Linux that take care of this, there's really only one, and it's called ProcMail. Okay, so there's sort of a basic starting point on how electronic mail works. There's the mail transfer agent, the mail user agent, and the mail delivery agent, and they all work together to send email. So let's just walk through an example to make sure we actually understand this. So here I've drawn out a diagram. Okay, so there's a user over here, Candy, and her system over here is called Baker.org. Okay, then her friend over here is Donna, and her system over here is called Rainier.org. Okay, but they have their own, local machines here. I haven't named these actual machines, but they have these machines that they log on to that are the workstations on their desks. And then there are mail servers for each of their organizations. Okay, so I've just called those mail servers smtp.baker.org and smtp.rainier.org. Okay, so what happens when Candy wants to send a message to Donna over here at Rainier.org? Okay, well, Candy is going to use her favorite mail user agent and compose the message. Okay, she's going to say to Donna at Rainier.org, hi, how's it going, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so she's going to send the message. Then where does that message go? Well, then that message travels to her local mail server. Okay, her at the smtp.baker.org. Okay, now the mail transfer agent, okay, on Baker.org is now responsible for this email message. Okay, so the mail message here is now queued. The one that Candy sent is now queued, and Baker, the server here at Baker.org is has all sorts of other requests to take care of. When the mail server gets around to taking care of Candy's request, then what's going to happen is the mail server at Baker.org is going to establish a link with Rainier.org. Okay, and say, hey, I've got some email for you, and that correspondence is probably going to be done on port 25. That's the most common port for email. Okay, so after Ranier.org acknowledges this connection, okay, then Baker.org will actually send the message. So Ranier.org says, yeah, I'm listening, go ahead, send me the message. And then the mail server at Baker.org says, all right, here it comes, boom, and sends it off to Ranier.org. Okay, then Ranier.org, the mail server there, will then acknowledge the receipt of the message. Okay, so it will not acknowledge the receipt of the message, say, yes, I got that message, and then boom, this connection is closed. Okay, now once it's on Ranier.org, then the local delivery agent, excuse me, the local delivery agent on Ranier.org puts it into the mail spool, like var mail Donna or something like that. Okay, so then the local delivery agent takes care of that, and then Donna, depending on how things are set up, Donna is either notified that she has new email, if she has some little program running in the background, or she goes to check her email, and boom, then there's the message from Candy. Okay, so let's just talk about what can break down in this process, and I think that will help us understand a little bit more about the email system. Well, the two most common things that can go wrong in this picture. The first one is that Candy sends the email message to a non-existent user. So say she thought her friend's email address was donnab@Ranier.org. Okay, but really her name is Donna@Ranier.org, and say there is no Donna B on this system at all. Okay, so Candy composes the message, clicks send, and it's going to Donna B at Ranier.org. Her local SMTP server queues it up. When her request comes to the front of the queue, Baker.org tries to connect to Ranier.org. But instead of Ranier.org taking that message and then acknowledging the receipt of it, okay, instead of that happening, but I do have this one checked to leave messages on the server, because I'd like it, because if you pop messages off the server and you don't have this box checked, then they're gone from the server. And then the only place they are is on this particular machine. I'd like that one central storage location for my email messages, so no matter where I check email from, I will be able to access all of my mail messages that I've ever gotten it. Okay, so that's why I choose to leave messages on the server. And one last one that I want to look at here is sending mail. Okay, now this one, again, my ISP told me the server type is an SMTP server. The other choice here is send mail. Okay, but I'm going to leave it at SMTP. The server configuration, the host name is mail.fasano.net, and they told me that the server is going to require authentication. Okay, so I checked that box. Now, one of the nice things from Zimian, now when you check this, if this box is unchecked, all this stuff grays out. Okay, so when you check this box, then you have to fill in all of these fields as well. Okay, now the authentication type, there's all these different authentication types. Okay, it's on CRAM MD5 right now. What's nice about Zimian here is you can click this box, check for supported types. I'll click it right now. And it connects to the server, and then when I open this back up, only two things are highlighted. The other ones are grayed out. I can't even highlight them. So these are the two possible authentication types that my server will accept. Okay, and I just chose CRAM MD5. Now what's CRAM MD5? Well, the way that this works is that what's going to happen is I'm on my local machine and I'm saying, okay, I want to send this email out using mail.fasano.net. Okay, well, it's going to require authentication. All right, so how does this authentication work? Well, the way that CRAM MD5 works is that I tell my local machine here tells mail.fasano.net and says, hey, Perry wants to send some email. Okay, then the server, the mail server, mail.fasano.net says, okay, Perry wants to send some email. Here's Perry's encrypted password. So mail.fasano.net is going to be a problem. Okay, so if it doesn't go through after 4 hours, I would get an email back that says, hey, mail server Ranier is down. I can't send this. I'm going to keep trying. I'll let you know if I give up. Okay, and then here the return aspect is 5 days. So if it can't do it after 5 days, then you'll actually get the mail back, and then because the mail server's given up because it's tried for 5 days straight. Okay, now if you were going to change these, one of the things you would do is you would take out the DNL here at the front. The DNL just says delete till a new line. So basically it's like a comment. Okay, that's part of the macro here. Okay, so you would take out the first DNL, you would change these numbers from 4 hours to say 1 hour, and from 5 days to 3 days, or however you wanted to change those numbers. Okay, then you would save this file. I'm not going to actually mess with this file, but what you would do is you would hit Control X, Control S, or Control X, Control C and say that you want to save it. And then once you've made the changes to the macro file, what you would do is first you would back up the old configuration file. Okay, you would copy sendmail.cf to sendmail.backup.cf or cf.backup or however you want to name it. Okay, and so that's the first thing you would do is back up that particular file. And then what you would do is you would use the M4, which actually runs the macro, and you would say /Etsy/mail. Let me have to complete this field here. Etsy mail, and then you'd say sendmail.mc. And then you'd say pipe the output of that into Etsy mail sendmail.cf. Okay, so once you've made the backup of the file and you've changed the macro file, then you run this M4 command just like this, and then that's going to look through the macro and create a brand new configuration file based on the changes you made in the macro. Okay, so that's the basic way that this works. Okay, now there's this website that I just want to show you. Red Hat has a website here, obviously, for configuring SendMail. So this is in the corporate environment. If you back up here, that will be for the home user environment. This is for the ISP environment. So these various links will help you configure SendMail the way that you want it to. Okay, and there's the web address of where this is, and they're talking about a slightly older version of SendMail in this manual, but just a couple minor versions ago. It's still version 8 of SendMail. It's just not the newest version I've noticed, but it should be pretty much the same. Okay, so this is the kind of resource that you would turn to help you configure SendMail. Don't expect to be able to go into the configuration file and just understand what it means. Okay, if there's one configuration file that you should be careful with, it's this one, just because it's so long and unwieldy. All right, so that's how to configure SendMail on your server, on your particular system, to set it up as a mail server. Now let's just wrap up this nugget. All right, well, it's time to wrap up our nugget on electronic mail. We started by talking about how email is sent and received over the internet, and I walked you through that diagram so you could get an idea of what programs and protocols were responsible at which stages of the process as the email went from your computer to some other computer over the internet. Then we talked about configuring and using email clients. I showed you how to configure Evolution for my particular setup. You need to follow your ISP's recommendations and go through all the setup screens for your particular email client. And it's pretty much the same for Evolution as it is for Netscape, as it is for Pine and Mutt and all the other various email clients that are available in Linux. And then we talked a little bit at the end about configuring email servers. Remember to always use that macro to change the configuration file for SendMail. Don't edit the SendMail configuration file by hand. And get some book on SendMail, or look at some of the resources that I pointed you to on the web. Search in Google to find the kinds of configuration file changes that you're going to need to make for your particular server. Well, I hope you found this nugget informative, and thanks again for watching.